Step your feet a little bit wider than hips width apart. Hands on your hips, bend your knees, and take it around. So we start to take our hips outside their usual range of motion. And keep in mind, especially when it comes to change directions, when it comes to stretching the hips, it's really important to find a sense of fluidity. Just like when we run, we want to be fluid rather than being really rigid in the way that you're holding yourself. So it's like not everything has to be this stretch, just mobility work like this is super helpful post-run. Come to stillness, take your feet a bit wider apart, heels in, toes out. We'll come down into a squat. And use your arms to encourage your thighs to move back. We want the heels down. If you're finding that tough, you might need to stay up a bit higher. That's totally fine. So heels down, weight back. Really drop the weight back into your heels. Breathe deeply. And use your arms to encourage your thighs to move back. So you'll feel it through the inner hamstrings down into the hips. Try to lengthen the spine. You can always rest your hands on a prop if you're finding it tough to reach the floor. Just really start to slow things down. And then ease onto your seat. Actually, let's come onto all fours. Feel free to pad your knees if you need to. And from here, we'll circle the hips around. Still breathing deeply. So big circles. And even here you can start to notice where specifically the stiffness might be in your hips. Change directions, taking it around. Keep it going, and just encourage that sense of fluidity. And eventually we'll come to center. Lean your hips to your right, so way over to the right, rock forward, lean back. Rock forward, lean back. Like I said, it's not like everything has to be this stretch. Mobility work like this can really help to restore fluidity around the hips. And just gets us outside that usual running range of motion. And take it over to the other side, lean to the left, rock forward, lean back. It's like you're giving your hip a nice massage post-run. Breathing deeply. And then come to center. Bring your legs around in front of you. Now we'll sit with the hands behind us, fingers pointing away from you, feet down in front of you. Drop your thighs over to your right, take your thighs over to the left. Let's go side to side. Get some of that windshield wiper action going, especially when the hips feel stiff. Really the best thing you can do is just get outside that usual range of motion. Usually just moving forward and back, so that side to side action brings so much relief. And also this in particular also helps to ease any muscular imbalances. If you find a spot that feels really tight, you can also kind of stay there. You'll feel it in your glute. For example, if there's a really tender spot, you can stop there and really drop all your weight into it. And then go find another spot on the other side. It's like foam rolling without the foam roller. Super helpful. Anyways, coming back up to center, and we'll cross the right ankle over the left knee. Sit up as tall as you can, flex the right foot. Try to bring your torso as close as you can to the legs. If that feels tough, or if your back is really rounding, feel free to lower onto your forearms. That's a nice, relaxed way to do it as well. So we'll inhale here, and exhale, take it to your left. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. A few more like that. Small movement, moving with your breath. And you'll notice how when you change the angle, it changes the stretch. It's creating that sense of fluidity around the hips. Good, and eventually we'll come to center. Take this right thigh, set it down, and bring your left thigh around behind you. So we're in a pinwheel setup with a bit of space between the foot and the thigh. Sit up tall, turn toward the right thigh, lie down on top of it. When you get down there, try to pull your ribcage forward even more. And then you can rest your forehead on stacked palms or fists, or even a block. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. And simple breathing exercise here. Take a deep inhale. Pause. Hold. Exhale. Feel your whole body relax. Again, big breath in. Fill all the way to the top. Pause. Exhale, let it go. Settling deeper into that hip stretch. Do one more of those on your own. And just back to deep, steady breathing. Relax the shoulders a little bit more. So you're stretching your hip, but really reduce any other tension that might be lingering in your body post-run. Really holding it long enough that the hip has time to unwind a bit. Three more deep breaths here. And then walk your hands back in toward your body. And bring your feet down in front of you. Pausing, just kind of feel both sides. Let's go side to side a few more times before we move on. Then up to center. Cross your left ankle over your right knee. Getting as close to your legs as you can, the spine nice and long. Back up, come onto your forearms if needed. And then we'll inhale here. Exhale, take it to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Moving with your breath, it's pretty small. One more. And up to center, pinwheel your left leg in front of your right. Sit up nice and tall. Turn to the left thigh, lie down on top of it. Really encourage your ribcage to lengthen forward more. And then settle into it. Find somewhere for the forehead to rest. Stack palms or fists or your block. Breathing deeply. Slow down significantly. Recognize that you can't just go 60 to 0. Really enjoy this time to slow down, to de-accelerate, so that you can recover effectively and run better tomorrow as a result. Let's take a deep breath in. Pause. Exhale. Let it go. Again, big breath in. Hold. Exhale. Release. One more on your own. Settling a little deeper into your stretch. Deep, steady breathing. And really giving that hip the opportunity to respond. Three more deep breaths. And make your way back up. And straighten your legs out in front of you. Give them a little shake. Turn your thighs in and out a few times. Just already kind of feel that space that you've created in your hips. And then feet on the floor. Roll onto your back. Taking the feet wide apart. The thighs drop together. So if you're on a mat, the feet about as wide as your mat. If you're not on a mat, just wider than hips width. And then you can even take the feet a bit further. The thighs might not even touch each other. If the thighs don't easily touch, that's a good sign. This would be a great one for you to practice more often. It's internal rotation. And take your arms out to the side. So simple, so effective. Creating more space around your hips, your low back. And as you inhale, separate your thighs. Exhale, drop them to your right. Look to your left. Inhale, center. Exhale, thighs left, look right. A few more. Inhale, lift. And exhale, switch. Just close your eyes. And really slow down the movement to match the rhythm of your deep, steady breathing. Really moving the hips through a nice full range of motion. And really calming your entire system along the way. It's not just about stretching your muscles, it's really about resetting your whole system, calming your nervous system so that recovery, so that healing can happen effectively. And then everything can function optimally. So drop the thighs to the left and stay. Place your left foot on top of the right thigh. Reach your right arm long overhead. Breathe deeply here. So if either of your knees are uncomfortable, take the foot off the leg. Leave it on the floor. Otherwise, reach forward through the right thigh. And you'll feel a bit more of a stretch through the right hip flexors. Reach back through the right fingers. You should feel it all the way down your right side. And then take the foot off the leg, bring your knees up to center, hug your right knee into your chest. So we'll keep working the right side. Take the thigh further to the right, grab the ankle or the inner arch of your right foot with your right hand. Breathing deeply there. Try to keep the hips level rather than flopping onto your right side. Always trying to keep ourselves as really neutral as possible through the spine. If that feels like a struggle, you can always just hang on to the thigh as well. One more breath. Cross the ankle over the knee. Feel that your waist, your hips are level. And then interlace the fingers around the left hamstring. Arms straight, the legs drop into the hammock of the interlaced fingers. Right foot flex, deep breath in, slow breath out. So don't try to pull the legs toward you, instead let them drop away from you. Shoulders relax down, arms straight. Rock your legs side to side now. And notice how when you change the angle, it changes the stretch. Eventually find a spot where you feel a lot of stretch, but it's not a struggle. So that's most likely a little bit of a rock toward the left for most of us. Deep breath there. And then release your hands, cross your right leg all the way over your left. Grab hold of your ankles or your feet and hug the knees in toward the chest. And to deepen this stretch, you would pull the ankles or the feet further away from each other or further toward your shoulders. So you're adding a little bit more rotation through the thighs and the hip joints. Shoulders heavy against the floor, head heavy. Breathe deeply and really put your focus into your hips. Really focus on where you feel the stretch happening. Be very specific. Deep inhale. Slow exhale. All the way in. All the way out. Stay with it. One more breath here. And then unwind. Hug both of your knees into your chest. Set the feet down. Pause to feel the difference between both sides. Feet wide apart. Arms open. Drop your thighs over to the left. Look right. Inhale, center. Exhale, switch. Take it side to side a few more times. And even here, continue to feel the difference between both sides, since we've gone through a longer sequence of stretches on one side but not the other yet. Lifting up to center. And let's cross let's drop your thighs over to the right and stay. Put your right foot on top of your left thigh. Left arm reaches overhead. Breathing deeply here. Reach forward through the left thigh. So it's a passive stretch, but that subtle action, just reaching forward through the left thigh and reaching back through the left arm, really does deepen the stretch. This brings a little bit more energy into it. And take the foot off the knee, lift it up to center. We'll hug the left knee to the chest now. Take the thigh further to the left, grab the ankle or the inner arch of the left foot with your left hand. Right hip stays heavy against the floor, hips nice and level. Breathing deeply here, feeling the stretch through the inseam of your left leg to the left inner hip. Really taking the hips through a full range of motion through this sequence. One more breath. Cross the left ankle over the right knee. And interlace your fingers around the right thigh. Left foot flex. Little rock side to side. So remember, we want the arms straight so the legs can really drop into the support of the interlaced fingers. Meanwhile, your shoulders and your head are nice and heavy on the floor. So you're not having to work your arms at all to make that happen. Trying to make the pose really as relaxing as possible. And finding a good spot, try a little bit of a rock toward the right. Pause there for a deep breath. And we'll cross the left knee all the way over the right, grabbing hold of the ankles or the feet. Again, you would deepen the stretch by pulling the feet further away from each other, feet further toward the shoulders. Really feel into those hips. You should feel this stretch should feel pretty different than the last stretch, the figure four that we just did. And one more deep breath here. Let's unwind. Hug the knees into your chest. Take the thighs apart and grab hold of the ankles or the inner arches of the feet. Happy baby pose. So we did one side at a time. After doing that, it's nice to do a pose that's more symmetrical. So feeling both hips together. Try to make your hips heavier, make your butt heavier. So it's a more intense stretch through the inseams of the legs up into the inner hips. 2 more deep breaths. And the knees come back into the chest. Sit your feet down wide apart, thighs drop together one more time. Just notice if that feels any different than it did the first time you came to it. Deep breath here. Heel toe your feet together. Soles of the feet together, the knees drop open. Arms down along your sides, palms up. So we'll rest here for just a few moments. If it becomes comfortable on your knees, you can straighten your legs. As we rest here, keep your focus, your attention in your hips. And see if you can just feel a sense of spaciousness there. A fluidity of spaciousness. And just feel how that will impact you when you run. To have that freedom, that fluidity through your hips. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. And slowly bring your thighs back together. Heel toeing the feet to hips width apart. Take a deep breath there. And hug your knees into your chest. Roll to one side. And press yourself up to sit. Any comfortable seat. Taking a final pause here to again really feel the space that you've created in your hips. And notice the effect that has next time you run. Join your palms. Namaste.